Welcome to Worldnomics. Now, in the summer of 2021, a journalist asked an Israeli military spokesperson a simple question. Has the Iron Dome ever failed? The spokesperson smiled, paused, and then said something that has quietly haunted defense analysts ever since. Define failed. See, the Iron Dome has an interception rate that sits somewhere between 85 and 90%. By any military standard, that number is extraordinary, unprecedented even. And for over a decade, it's been treated as proof that technology can win wars before they start. That a country can build a roof over its people and simply live. But here's the question no one was asking in 2021, the question that's now impossible to ignore. What happens when your enemy stops trying to beat the Iron Dome and simply decides to bury it? Not with better missiles, not with smarter technology, but with more, hundreds more, launched in waves from every direction, night after night after night. Because that's exactly what's happening now. And if you understand what that means, really understand it, the footage coming out of Israeli skies lately stops looking like a defense system working. It starts looking like a defense system being pushed to its edge. To understand what's happening now, you need to understand what the Iron Dome actually is and why it's considered one of the most revolutionary weapon systems ever built. Cast your mind back to 2006. Israel is at war with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Rockets are raining down on northern Israeli cities, Haifa, Nahariya, Kiryat Shmona. Thousands of civilians are forced to flee. Hundreds are wounded. The military can fight back, but it can't protect the home front from incoming fire. That realization changed everything. Israel poured resources into developing a short-range missile defense system, something that could intercept rockets in the air before they hit. By 2011, the Iron Dome was operational, and almost immediately, it changed the rules. The system works like this. Radar detects an incoming projectile within seconds of launch. A tracking algorithm calculates its trajectory, where it's going, how fast, and crucially, whether it's going to hit anything. If it is, an interceptor missile is launched to destroy it mid-flight. The results were staggering. Interception rates of 85 to 90%. Rockets that once leveled buildings now detonated harmlessly in the sky. Cities that had been paralyzed by conflict kept functioning. The Iron Dome didn't just defend Israel, it transformed how Israel lived with conflict. It became, in the eyes of many, something close to invincible. So what changed? The short answer, Israel's enemies went to school on the Iron Dome, and they graduated. For years, the typical attack pattern was relatively simple, a salvo of rockets, launched from one direction, targeting one area. The Iron Dome handled it. Life went on. But modern barrages look nothing like that. Today's attacks combine rockets with drones. They come from multiple directions, simultaneously, north, south, east, forcing the defense network to split its attention across an entire country at once. And they don't come in one wave. They come in rolling, sustained barrages, designed not to overwhelm the system in a single moment, but to exhaust it over hours. This is a deliberate evolution, and it's built around one brutal insight. Every defense system has a limit. Here's how missile defense actually works in practice, because most people get this wrong. Stopping one rocket is hard, but it's manageable. You've got radar, tracking, a clean firing solution. You launch an interceptor. Problem solved. Now try stopping 30 rockets at once. Your radar is tracking dozens of objects. Your algorithm is calculating trajectories for all of them simultaneously. Your interceptor batteries are cycling through launches as fast as they physically can. You've got seconds to make every single decision. Think of it this way. Blocking one baseball thrown at your face is hard, but doable. Standing in a hailstorm? That's something else entirely. This is the strategy being deployed against the Iron Dome. Military planners call it saturation, flooding a defense system with more targets than it can cleanly process. You don't need to build a missile that can beat an interceptor. You just need to build enough of them. And here's what makes the math even more brutal for the defender. An Iron Dome interceptor costs tens of thousands of dollars per launch. The rockets being fired at Israel? Some cost a fraction of that. For every expensive interceptor used, a much cheaper rocket was the cause. Do that math across hundreds of launches, night after night, week after week. The attacker doesn't need to win militarily, they just need to make the defense expensive. But here's what the casualty reports and interception statistics don't capture. What this does to a civilian population. For years, the Iron Dome gave Israelis something almost as valuable as physical protection, psychological certainty. You heard the siren, you went to the shelter, you heard the interceptions, and you knew the shield held. You could go back to your life. That certainty is now being systematically attacked. When the alerts go out night after night, urging people not just to take shelter, but to stay there, that message is landing differently than it used to. When the sirens cycle 3, 4, 5 times in a single night, something shifts in the back of your mind. Because people are starting to realize something that military strategists have always known but rarely say out loud. No defense system is absolute. The Iron Dome is not a wall. It's a calculation, a probability engine. It makes the best decision it can with the information it has in the time it has to make it. And like any system built by humans, it operates within limits. When those limits are tested, really tested, the shield doesn't disappear, but it does bend. And bending in a conflict zone feels a lot like failing. Now, here's something important to add. Because it would be easy to watch this and think, the Iron Dome is crumbling. Israel is defenseless. Neither of those things is true. Israel doesn't rely on the Iron Dome alone. It operates one of the most sophisticated layered air defense networks on Earth. Iron Dome handles the short-range rockets. David's Sling takes the medium-range threats. The Arrow system, Arrow 2 and Arrow 3, exists specifically to intercept long-range ballistic missiles, including ones fired from hundreds of miles away. Few countries in the world have anything remotely comparable to this architecture. No single system failing, or even struggling, breaks the entire network. But here's the thing about layered defense. It's expensive. It requires constant resupply. It requires split-second coordination across multiple platforms simultaneously under conditions of extreme pressure. When an adversary can force all those systems to operate at maximum capacity, night after night, that has consequences. Not just military consequences, strategic ones. So let's zoom out, because these nights aren't just about Israel. And what's happening over Israeli skies right now is a live-fire test of something the entire world's military establishment is watching very, very closely. For decades, the dominant model of modern warfare was precise, targeted strikes, expensive weapons, surgical operations. But a new model is emerging, and it's built on quantity over quality. Mass drone swarms, coordinated missile barrages, cheap munitions launched in staggering numbers designed to overwhelm systems that cost billions to build and millions to operate. It's a model that inverts the traditional military equation. Historically, the more advanced army wins, better weapons, better training, better technology. But what if the less advanced army can simply build more? Or what if the cost asymmetry is so extreme that sustained defense becomes unsustainable? These are the questions being written across the night sky above Israel right now. And every military from Washington to Beijing to Moscow is taking notes. For more than a decade, the Iron Dome stood as proof of something people desperately wanted to believe. That technology could make war survivable. That a smart enough shield could protect a city, a country, a way of life. That belief isn't shattered. But it is being tested in ways it has never been tested before. The shield is still firing, the interceptors are still rising, and by the measures that matter most, civilian lives, the system is still doing extraordinary work. But the nights are longer now, the alerts more urgent, the question louder. Because here's the thing about a storm that keeps getting bigger. At some point, you stop asking whether the shield will hold, and you start asking, for how long?